Brain science and learning is one of my favorite topics to study. I feel it is vitally important for teachers to understand how the brain works because it can only enhance how they teach. I believe it can help us have more compassion for our students, more understanding, and create better environments for our students' learning success. I'm going to review the book, The Art of Changing the Brain by James E. Zull. I hope to give you, as a fellow instructor, some basic concepts that you can take with you and apply to how you teach. All quotes are from James E. Zull in this book. The teacher's task is to produce physical change in those neural networks, and we learn how to do that by seeing how nature does it. The brain has a cycle of sense, integrate, and act. The way the brain makes connections can be overlapped with the learning cycle, which is concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract hypothesis, and active testing. I'm going to briefly review the story of Hamilton. Hamilton grew up watching a lot of educational TV. His parents were educators and encouraged him to do that. He soaked in the information. When he got to college, though, he struggled. He enjoyed gathering the information. In fact, like I said, he soaked it up. He could repeat the information, but he wasn't really doing that well on tests, and he ended up dropping out of school. His struggle was that he did not do anything with the information. He did not complete the learning cycle or the brain cycle. This is where, as teachers, we can help students. It is a change in the learner from a receiver to a producer. That's what we need to do. Think of sensory experience. We feel something that hurts, and that triggers the fear system. We feel something good, and that triggers the pleasure system. We only need to be burned once to fear heat, and we only need to taste sugar once to want it again. These tools for survival are also powerful learning tools. Learning what we should fear and what we should love is essential for survival. As with the fear and pleasure systems, our cognitive brain also learns what gets results. Success in thought generates understanding, and understanding allows survival. If we could not understand our world and plan for our future in it, we could not survive. It is not surprising then that cognition also triggers our internal reward system. We enjoy real learning, and we want to learn. In order to survive, we had to want to learn. Cognition, control, fear, and pleasure are four things brains use to survive, and they are fundamental to every brain. We must consider these four things if we hope to help people learn. Our emotions influence our thinking more than our thinking influences our emotion. Here are 3 rules to help people learn. 1. Help the learner feel she is in control. 2. Help them see how it matters in their lives. And 3. Expect to encounter emotion and take it seriously. Think for a moment about a car. Specific physical structures make the car work as it does. For example, the gas pedal is directly connected to the engine in a way that lets in more or less gas when we push or release the pedal. If we sense our car sputtering and we notice that the gas gauge indicates the tank is empty, it does no good to curse the car or to encourage it. Instead, we must understand the physical facts and use them to our advantage. We nurse the car along at slow speed, allowing it to coast whenever possible, and guide it gently in the shortest line toward the nearest gas station. In the same way, if we know the structures in the brain that produce emotion, and if we know a little bit about how they work, We may see ways to nudge our student toward learning. Then we can be grateful when our students sputter, because that is valuable information. It helps us see what we should do. Here are some takeaways. 1. Get students involved in their work. It can distract them from feeling nervous and afraid, and it will calm down the amygdala. 2. Accept student behaviors as natural results of the physical world, rather than making judgments about them. Whatever the neuronal networks are in the student brain, a teacher cannot remove them. They are a physical fact. Begin with what your students know. Start with concrete examples. We have to start with what the student knows and then go from there. Here's an example. In the book, there was a teacher that was teaching young students, and she was so frustrated because whenever she was teaching about Martin Luther and the Reformation, her young kids, all they thought about was Martin Luther King Jr. And she kept trying to correct them. And no matter how much she said, no, that's not right, they're not the same person, the kids didn't get it. So as we enrich the experience of the learner, we begin to realize that sometimes the wrong connections are just incomplete. Instead of saying, no, that's wrong, maybe we could start saying, yes, they're similar, and here's a connection. So who was Martin Luther King Jr. named after? And then why? That way, the connection's there. They know Martin Luther King, and then now they can start to separate it, and now they can start to have better understanding. But you began where they were. Here are a few more excellent quotes. We must see through the student's eyes. This means that we must look back and see our subject as it was at first, when it was just sensory input. If we can convert an idea into an image, we should do so. And whenever possible, we should require our students to show us their images. It should go both ways. No matter how much they object, I believe learners take a huge step when they assemble their images into specific language. With some exceptions, I think we should insist that they do it. Teaching is about the students, and a teacher is most successful when his students can say, "We did this ourselves." I'm going to take you back to the sense, integrate, and act process of our brain. If we can incorporate this simple process into our teaching, we can change lives.